We can be anything we want to be. Positivity. Hey guys, we're with Jenny Carr. She's with the K-State Extension office there in Harper County, and she does a lot of coordinating with the county fair. Jenny, thanks for being on with us today.
It's great to be here.
Jenny, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your personal life, your family, and your career.
Well, I actually grew up just on the edge of Harper County in Sumner County at Argonia. And I've lived all across the southern half of Kansas, from western Kansas to more eastern Kansas. I came back to Harper County 13 years ago as the extension agent. And so I'm glad to be back. My husband and I work full time, and we also do some farming, ranching. We have about 200 head of sheep that we take care of, and he does some contracting work.
Very good, very good. Let's jump into the fair. And we described your fair a little bit in the past. I think I've actually been to your fair once in the past. Small community, but the fair is kind of the event to be at when it comes to Harper County. So give us a little background on the fair there.
Well, our fair has, I think we're on, I don't know what number we're on, but it is the event to be at in August. It is held in Harper. It's held downtown. And it's everybody in the county comes. Harper County has like 5,000 residents, and everybody in the county comes to the fair. It's 4 days, and there's a lot of 4-H and FFA activities, and there's entertainment. And historically, we've had a carnival, one of the last fairs to have a carnival. This last year, we did, due to scheduling conflicts, lose our carnival, but our fair board shifted and people came together, and we came up with some alternatives that we heard a lot of positives about from the general public. So I think that was exciting.
Cool. Let's talk about that transition. Could be a scary time when you've got a staple like a carnival who it didn't work out. What was that process like? And talk about what you guys did shift to, and how that worked out, and maybe something that another fair could model.
Well, so just so you know, fairs are not our fair is not a huge moneymaker. We're pretty much a hope we break even maker, and getting a carnival in is very expensive. And having had a history with the carnival they had a really nice deal going on, and it was feasible for them to do. And the carnival made money, and the fair board made a little money off of it. But with the scheduling conflict, to try to get a different carnival in was going to be an exorbitant amount of money, not something that was even feasible. So we have 3 local FFA chapters, and we've always had some kid activities in our downtown park, like farm bureaus, tractor pull. And so the FFA chapters set up just little sidewalk games on the street. They blocked off the street, and the kids got to play for free, and they won small little prizes. And they did that for like 2 or 3 hours. And, parents were like, you know what? I knew everybody that was working a booth. I felt comfortable. I could stand at the end of the street and let my kids go, and they could play on their own and do the things. And I didn't have to worry about them. And then on the last day of the fair, which is typically a big carnival day, the fair board rented inflatables and charged a nominal fee, and they could come in and they could bounce on the inflatables as long as they wanted. And the parents liked it. I heard a lot of positives from parents, because they're like, it wasn't a $15 wristband, and it was, a $5 wristband. And then again, they went in, and we had them kind of contained. There wasn't as many strange people and around, and nothing against carnival workers, but it's just in today's society, that's something people are concerned about.
Yep.
So, and we heard a lot of positives, and it's a little more work on the fair board's take. We found out about 3 months before a fair that we had lost our carnival, so there was some going back and forth on what to do. And as with all social media, there was the naysayers, and oh, how could you let this happen, and different things like that. And it was just it was a scheduling conflict, and I'm a firm believer because I haven't been to the carnival since I've been back because I work with the 4-Hers, and I would say 80% of the people that go to the fair and walk through the fairgrounds don't go to the carnival. 80% of the people that go to the carnival never make it to the fairgrounds, and they're half a block apart.
Oh,
You either are interested in a carnival or you're interested in the projects the kids have put their time and energy into that they're trying to showcase at the end of their project year.
yeah. Ah, I love that. Well, it sounds like the key there was that you had people that stepped in,
We
and
did. We did.
yeah, that makes a big difference when you can do that. So I think that's for if people are listening and wondering, how if this ever happens to us, that having that base is, and that leads us to another topic that you mentioned off air was that you really appreciate the just the community and the family and really the importance that the community puts behind the fair, because you said they're talking about how they planned their vacations and made sure that they were going to be around during this time as it goes through there. Talk a little bit about that, as why you think it's a priority for people.
Just, I grew up before I was a 4-Her, we would come to the county fair. And that was, I can remember sitting in the Ford Galaxy and stopping out on the edge of town and getting a foot long hot dog at the drive-in and being so excited because we're headed to the fair and walking through the barns and looking at all the animals, and we did go to the carnival some, and just the activities going on, and it's changed over, I will not say how many years, but it's like the last 5 decades. It's changed a lot. But there are it's 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 a time you can get together and you can catch up with people you haven't seen. Our 4-H families, they sit around in lawn chairs and visit and for 4 days, and people plan family reunions because they can come back, and if a family's moved away, then their kids can kind of experience what they experienced as a child. So it's just building on that. And we are a small community and we don't have a lot of amenities that other people have, but it's nice because it's nice because it is a small community and you can do things that you don't get to do in big cities. And I think that I have great memories of being a participant in the fair or going to the fair. And I think other people do too, and they want to pass that on to their kids. Especially if they
Perfect.
live
I think there's a key there, and we've seen that not only in county fairs, but also in just town events and festivals. If they have an annual event, putting those reunions in making it a part of that week or that weekend is crucial. I just think it, even if it's a holiday weekend when it hits, it seems like attendance is going up long term. If they just, like you said, it becomes such a standard and they know that they're just going to make that happen every year. And I think reunions that was the word that really stood out for me listening to you talk, because there's a lot of places that don't do school reunions anymore. Small towns, there's not many people left, but when they do on a weekend like that, that makes sense. As you look to the future, Jenny, we always have a vision of what's going on, and the stigma maybe of small towns and communities dying, although we're starting to see that reverse with, as an effect of COVID, and you're seeing people leaving the major cities, coming back, opening businesses and doing things like that. As you look to the future of your county fair, what are some things you're looking forward to?
excited. We have in our county, a major driver of our county fair is our 4-H program and the participation of our 4-Hers and their livestock exhibits and their other we call them static exhibits. And our 4-H program is growing. And for the size of our community, percentage wise, we have a large percentage of our kids involved in 4-H or FFA, and that's great. And I see our fair growing. I do think it's going to change. I think more if it continues, if they're not able to do a carnival, we will pivot and there will be more entertainment and possibly more opportunities for local entertainment. And I think that's something that we have a very artistic community here in Harper County. We have musicians and potters and painters and so we have a pretty arty community, and I think there is potential for some growth in that area. We are trying to engage the general public into a fair started as you brought your best to town at the end of the season. Farmers brought their best shocks of corn, or their wives brought their best pie or their best knitted garment. And we still have those opportunities. We have opportunities to bring a slice of hay or a jar of corn or wheat or in whatever you've knitted or crocheted or quilted. And we would really like to grow those departments. And part of that is just working with people that there are people that do these things, but do they know they can exhibit it at the fair? And I see our fair continuing to grow, and being, even if we don't have a carnival, being a place where people come back to remember those memories and share the experience with their children.
Yeah. That's incredible. I like what you said about embracing what your community has to offer, because what you have to offer doesn't happen in a lot of other places. One of the things that we've enjoyed talking about and really was a shocker for me was the growth of 4-H, and not just in rural areas, the urban areas. And again, maybe possibly a side effect of COVID, in that people were now growing their own produce at home, buying livestock, raising animals because their kids were home and bored and they had a lot more opportunity, and they were sometimes forced into self-dependency. And so that's self-reliance, and that's a great place to be. And the expert in that is the ag and livestock community. And to be able to share that. So that's very, very cool. That's very, very cool. Well, Jenny, thank you for what you do there in Harper County with the Extension Office. And thank you for sharing with us and giving us a little insight. I know there's a lot of things that, people are, you can't be the only carnival in this next coming year who's going to lose you can't be the only fair, I should say, who's going to have a carnival that has to cancel. Staffing problems with carnivals is tough. And it's getting harder. So that's a great thing for people to be maybe a little prepared for as they go through there. So very good. Jenny, share with us the dates of your fair.
Oh my, our fair is the second weekend of August. So this year it will be, pull out my calendar here, August 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
All right. In Harper, Kansas. Thank you
very
Harper,
much. Kansas. Yep. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Hey, today we are with Ashton and Linda. They are with the Kirksville Art Association. Every year they host I'm going to say this right, the Red Barn Arts and Crafts Festival. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Very good. Ladies, thanks for joining us. Let's jump into introduce yourselves a little bit. Ashton, let's start with you. Talk a little bit about where you grew up, and a little bit about your family and your role with the Arts Association.
Okay. I went to school here in Atlanta, Missouri, a small town. I married. My husband and I have one son named Kenneth. Went to college and played a little basketball at Culver Stockton. And go Wildcats. And got my graphic design major and marketing minor, and then I come up here and work daily for the Kirksville Arts Association.
Okay. All right. Linda, how about you?
Well, I'm on the board. I'm a volunteer.
Okay.
And I'm originally from Iowa, but I've lived in Kirksville for quite a few years now. I actually started working with the Arts Association as their grant writer back about 2006. And later on, I joined the board, and I've been on the board ever since. So,
well, both of your roles are fantastic for your position, no doubt. I mean, I think if with the grant writer, every nonprofit needs one of those to really thrive. And Ashton, the graphics and the design. that's pretty much where we're at nowadays as you go through there. So that's great. As you guys, let's talk about the festival itself. Let's the when and the where.
So it's always downtown Kirksville. It's expanded over the years to not just around the block. We're even coming down to the Arts Center. This year we had 1,100 attendees,
No, probably about
or 1,000, 11,000
11,000.
attendees this year. We had a little over 100 exhibitors with different crafts and fine arts. And then we had,
We have an entertainment corner,
yes,
which just features local amateur entertainment. We have a lot of the local dance schools with the young girls dancing. We have the ukulele club, which is kind of different, and then we have a country dance group that comes. So, and then the university here in town has several a cappella groups that come and sing. So it's a throughout the whole day we have the entertainment corner. We also have a kids corner with crafts for the kids that the kids were able to do.
Nice. If you
And we have food vendors.
if you gave us a purpose, what is the purpose of the Red Barn Art and Crafts Festival?
to expose the artists in the area.
Okay.
Or we even have some that come from down by the Ozarks of Missouri. They come up here because they know it's going to be a great crowd because we do it with the Truman Family Day, and that really brings in people from out of state. And so then they just connect with the artists that way, and it gets their name out there, the artists.
Okay. So you really
That's how our association started. We started at the festival.
yeah. So you really center it around your exhibitors as you go through there.
Yeah.
Looking at the benefits that if you had to say what's the strongest benefit that this has for your community?
I think one of the things is we bring a lot of people to downtown Kirksville, which is beneficial to the local businesses because they're not just going to our festival, they're going into the local stores and shops and they're buying and restaurants. So there's a big benefit to, I think, the community as far as economics.
Sure.
But also it's just a very enjoyable day. When people come, it probably takes them about an hour to walk around the festival, but they stay much longer than an hour. They may spend a half day or the whole day downtown. So it's a cultural event that the whole community looks forward to, and people come from the area. It's not just the people in Kirksville or the university families, but people throughout the area come to the festival and look forward to it every year.
There you go. As you guys get together every year and I know this is not your only event through the year, and it's not the only thing that the Arts Association does, but what are some challenges as a nonprofit over these past 3 or 4 years? What are some challenges you guys face?
Well, we're always looking for people to sponsor our events. We do a summer concert series. We provide a free musical performance every Friday evening from the 1st of June through the end of August. And it's held on our courthouse square. And we seek sponsors to help us pay those musicians. You know, people will say, oh, they do it because they love it. Well, that may be true, but they also need to be compensated fairly for the service that they're providing to us, which is a nice evening of music. Right. We do exhibits throughout the year, and we're always looking for sponsors for that. So I'd say just receiving financial support from the community for the events that we have.
Did you guys see an uptake in donations and what's the word that I'm looking for when a person passes away and they leave they leave in their will that they want.
Memorial.
Yeah. Did you see an uptake in memorials after COVID?
No, not necessarily. We have had, I mean, we have some memorials, but they've really been people who've had an association with us that when they
Right.
passed away.
I just wondered.
But
It was one of the things that was during COVID. One of the groups of organizations that were still willing to bring traveling ministers and artists and musicians into their towns were churches. And what we heard as feedback was that one of the side effects of a lot of people passing away during COVID is that they left money to the church. And even though numbers of church attendance in the community of any public event were way down, churches survived, and some nonprofits survived, some theaters, some organizations, things like that, because of the donations that they received from Memorial. So I just wondered if, the Arts Association, felt that and at what level, and it doesn't sound like it did per se. Now, we talked about some of your challenges. What do you feel like as an arts association? What do you feel like is a strength, and especially your board? What is the strength of your board?
What was a strength that you feel like we have?
What is a strength of your board that you feel like your board of directors has as a unit?
Well, a number of our members have been on the board for quite some time, so they're very familiar with our history, and as we evolve as an organization, where we're wanting to go to, where we're trying to get as far as bringing the arts to the community. I think we have several board members who are very hardworking and will put in a lot of hours and a lot of time. Like with Red Barn, they'll be up there the entire day. I mean, they'll get there at 4 or 5 in the morning and be there until, in the evening after it's closed down. So I think a real commitment to making sure that this organization survives no matter what happens to us. During COVID, we had to make some adjustments. We didn't have the festival that year,
Right.
but we did some other things.
Yeah.
That we held a holiday marketplace, which is what we have going on right now. And that was the first time we did that. It forced us to be creative, and some good benefits came out of that.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. As you guys look to the future of this event, what do you want to see change? What are some things you want to add? What are some goals you guys have?
For Red Barn, I would say we'd like to see more fine art.
Yes.
As exhibitors.
Yep.
We also have a food corner with food vendors, and I think we'd like to see more variety of food being offered for people. So,
And we're looking to add the bounce house to Kids
Yes.
Corner.
yes,
Can you grab that?
I'll take this.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you.
When you
Sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we're looking to spread a little bit on our Kids Corner and get more kids stuff that's involved. Right now we have the face painting and crafts that the kids can do over there. But this year we were looking to add a bounce house just to get them more involved of wanting to go over there. And then once they get there, hopefully they'll interact with an arts of some sort. But the wind was just so high this year, we couldn't quite make that happen.
Right. Well, what kind of feedback do you guys listen to from your? I usually we'll use the word vendors, but in this case, we're going to use the word artists. What kind of feedback do you listen, and how do you get that feedback from them?
Give me just a second. I've got a gal wanting to buy for our holiday market.
Sure,
Sorry.
sure. No, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay, good. So we were just talking about the future there, and as it goes through there, we were talking about feedback. So when you specifically are looking for feedback from your participants, your artists, how do you get that? And what do you generally hear?
So we send around a form, and this year midday, whenever we had one of our volunteers take the forms around to each booth for them to fill out, and they had a snack with them too, because that's a hard thing for the exhibitors too. We've had some of them say they can't make it because they don't have an extra person to help them out in case they, need to go to the bathroom or need to go back to their trailer to get more supplies to sell or getting lunch or something. So they have told us they really appreciate us bringing something around in a water bottle. We gave out waters to all of them too. Um, what we've been hearing on them when I read through them after the festival, the most of it's positive from the exhibitors. The main thing that they've kind of said is some of them want up on the square because that's where the main traffic flow is through versus down the side street. But we can only fit what we can fit there, and we just do
Right.
first come, first serve. So we start taking exhibitors' applications in March, and the festival's not till September. So
Yeah, no,
we
that's
just take them as they come.
yeah, absolutely. Give us a description of the variety of type of arts and crafts people are going to find here.
So we have woodworking, and there's a whole array of woodworking. This year, the first time exhibitor award went to a woodworker, and he does benches out of repurposed wood. So like if there's a storm that's blown through, he asks them for the trees and makes benches out of them. We've got Gary Gibson, and he makes bowls, like really refined bowls. We have some of them in the holiday market right now. And he says, what kind of wood's in it, how many pieces. And then we have scroll saw with the wood that Mike Killen does. We have baskets. We've got ornaments. One of the well-known photographers around here is Maureen McKell, and she makes cards out of her photography. So people say they'd rather support someone doing something they like instead of Hallmark. So they'll buy cards from her and use them throughout the year.
Okay, so usually
Fine arts, they have.
So these people
Oh, go
are
ahead.
people that are attending. They're using this event to buy gifts and presents, not only for themselves but others.
Right,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah. Because a lot of people would rather support, someone that's made it in their area than the across the board Walmart or wherever they want to go.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. Well, I tell you what, I was going to wait on Linda, but I don't think she's going to make it back in time. So tell her thank you for me. And I appreciate you being on with us, Ashton.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's a little delay here, but thanks for having us. And hopefully you'll get to make it next year to our big festival.
There you go. Hey, we are with Nancy Thielen. She's with the Whidbey Island Fair. She is the manager there. Nancy, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Nancy, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your career.
So actually, I grew up here on Whidbey Island, well, since I was 10. But before that, we had been what they call summer people. We'd come up to our property, stay in a cabin and trailers and stuff. So not the same summer people as nowadays. But so I grew up here. I participated in the Whidbey Island Fair, and back then it was called the Island County Fair. It was owned by the county at that point. And participated as a 4-H'er, did horse 4-H, finished school, got married, started raising a family. And when my daughter got not even quite old enough, because there's age ranges for 4-H, when you can start and when you can do stuff.
Yep.
She was raring and ready to go. So we got a dog, and I became a 4-H leader at that point. and was a dog 4-H leader for about 5 years. And then we did the thing that we swore we would never do, and we morphed into horse 4-H. So we ended up with a horse in our
Wait. At the urging of your daughter?
Yes,
Okay, good.
of course. And so we had told my husband, don't worry, we'll never do horses. That's, they're snooty over there. The dog people are nice. We're not going there. But she had a passion for horses, and had a family member who helped her sort of find one. And so then we ended up in horse 4-H, and I was a leader in horse 4-H, brought back the club that I had been in as a child. It had been defunct for a while. One of my old co-4-Hers and I decided to bring the club back. Her daughter was riding. So finished out doing that until my daughter graduated. Then I stayed a leader for like another year. Then I just went off I worked at the local grocery store here. That was what I did for 32 years. My husband and I own a construction company, and it had gotten busy to the point I left there right at the pandemic. And then decided I need a little more people interaction than sitting and staring at the walls in this office every day. And the gal that was running the fair, the manager, her and I go back, and she said, I'm leaving, and I think that you should apply. And in the meantime, I had gone to school for event planning. So it was always sort of a little niche that I've always been good at, planning events and stuff, all through my kids being in high school, booster club, PTA, all that stuff. I was involved and was always involved in planning all of the different events they did.
Yep.
So I applied, and I'm actually very new to this. I have not even finished my whole first year as the fair manager. I started doing this last March. So I dove in the deep end. She stayed on to kind of guide me and show me, this is what you need to do, because there was no written manual in the office. And I just came back from the fair convention in Spokane, one of many fair conventions. And I found out that it's not unheard of, that it's fairly normal, that there is no guidelines in these offices on how to and what you need to do. It's sort of trial by fire. So made it through my first fair, and I am now in my first planning season for this to be mine, like full on.
But you've been a part of this fair for a long time. So
Been a part of this fair, so I knew the fair. I love the fair, and it's sort of, having fair struggles, like most of them are.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to see what I can do to help revive it a little bit, a new perspective, new people, have a different thought process. Your energy level is fresh.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into it. So let's just treat this like a new venture. When you got in the middle of it, when you got right in the middle, what were some of the challenges you faced right away?
Well, clearly not knowing what you're supposed to do every day, coming into work every day and finding out you were supposed to do something yesterday, or something technically probably should have been done yesterday or the week before. Figuring out how to do the contracts for people, pulling them up and refilling things in, challenges, just the learning the basic dailies.
Yeah.
Because at that point we were deep in procuring all the vendors, whether it was food or retail vendors and stuff, some of the entertainment had been secured, but not all of it. So reaching out to people, sending out piles of letters here, to returning vendors. If you're still interested, please send this back. Setting up advertising for it,
Are you good at asking for help?
medium.
Medium.
I'm not always the best because I have a vision in my head, and if they aren't going to do it exactly the way I want it done,
Right.
I have a hard time letting go of things. And I had a hard time that first year, especially because I couldn't ask for help for what I didn't know that I needed help with.
Yeah.
I didn't really know I needed help until that day. Like, oh gosh, I need a crew of people to take all these advertising banners and go put them out places.
Yeah.
I can't leave the office and do that. And just different organizing styles. But, I knew the manager before, and I have always known, we work differently. We're great together, but we have definitely different strengths and different styles. And so that was a challenge, working under that much of a timeline stress with a different working style. But we made it. It was great, and I kept notes all along the way on how I might want to do things different this year, how I would attack just the whole process.
Gotcha. I'm not good at asking for help either, but it has been very clear to me that unless you manage and delegate well, growth will not happen. So that's good. Let's talk about your fair. Let's talk about your exact fair. What do you love about it? What makes it special?
Given the fact that I've not experienced tons of other fairs and I just went to my first convention, it's hard to know exactly what makes us special, maybe in different ways from other fairs, but it's sort of that reconnection point every year for people. It used to be in August, it's now in July. And so it's that reconnecting of, the kids. It's special for the kids. You go there, and because it's a small country fair, I don't feel like I live in the country, but I guess I do.
Yeah.
I would say I live on an island. So, I have sort of different views of that. But you're in this very small community fair. And when you get there, you recognize or know a very large percentage of these people. You feel safe letting your kids, it's like you've kind of gone into another world and they get the freedom to run around. That there's always a big Friday night band, Saturday night band, with everybody comes to hear the music, and you've got people dancing. And it's a place for all the local, the youth to come and show off their animals and what they do all year with them, and for local adults that have a passion for their photography or their felting or their quilting or their canning, all those different things to display it. One of the things that when they founded the fair, they said they hoped to never lose sight of their beginning as an old-fashioned county fair.
Yeah.
you know, where people come and display the stuff they've worked on all year, and just that community feeling of coming together.
So let me ask you this. You're new at this. And when it all comes down to it, 5 years down, not even 5, 1 year down the road, I want to redo this interview. And I want to go back and I want to hear your answer. What are your goals for the fair? In the next 5 years, what do you want to see happen at the fair?
I would like to see, well, some major improvements in some areas, but that's a team project because the Port of South Whidbey owns our fairgrounds now, or manages it. I want to see at least 20% growth
Okay.
in getting people back in there. Changing some things up. It's, in my opinion, gotten a little stagnant.
Okay.
You know, and after going to the convention, it says you need to change 30% of your stuff every year to stay relevant. And, you know, how else are you going to bring people in?
Yeah.
I would love to have a new carnival at our fair. I would love to be able to entice a slightly bigger carnival to maybe come to our fair.
What does that look like for you when you bring a bigger carnival in? Is that more money up front from you? Is that is that just you need more space? What does that look like? Educate me.
It's bringing one in that maybe has a few more options and brings things. As funny as it sounds, like in a carnival, I sort of want to get back to how it used to be. Like you want to grow, but you want to keep some things the same.
Right. So that's one of your 70. Yeah. That's part of your 70% that doesn't change.
Yes. And and our carnival, we used to have way more games and the things that people would come, you know, dime tosses, all that stuff that adults as well as children have fun with at the fair.
Right.
And there's just been a shrinkage in the amount of stuff that they've brought. And I haven't had time to talk to our current carnival and see, you know, is there a reason that you're not filling our area as full as it used to be?
Yeah.
Do you not have
Whoa.
do you not have the stuff for us?
It may be a staffing problem for them.
And that is a big thing too nowadays. And do you know, before COVID, there were 400 carnivals in the United States, and now there's only 200.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting niche itself. So I'd like to see that. My biggest goal is to grow the attendance of the fair. And to do that, I have to bring some more interesting and exciting things for them to want to come and see. And I need to promote it better. I think we need to adjust how we promote and advertise our fairs. So I want to improve our advertising, improve or change whatever that description is, some of the highlights at the fair each year, because there's your standards, you know, you got your 4-H, and I'd love to see the 4-H program grow again. Ever since COVID, it has really struggled, and it's not nearly, it doesn't have the participation levels it used to. And that's not really all my doing, because 4-H is its own entity. And they do their own, you know, recruiting, and it's their own program. They just come and participate and bring
we've
animals.
heard both. We've heard both. As the result of COVID, we've seen 4-H groups grow, and especially in the metro areas. But we've seen them shrink in more rural areas. And the metro areas, it was interesting because people were growing their own stuff again, you know, and they couldn't get.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that happened. We saw that growth more in the urban areas than we did the rural.
And so the rural, because you're so spread apart, and through COVID, you know, you couldn't.
Yep.
So I think for us, it's the animals. You know, it was harder. You bring your animals together.
Yeah.
And have meetings and do things, and because you couldn't, Zoom meetings didn't really cut it for the animal projects for a very long time. And I can see how some of the agricultural stuff would grow because you can get on have a 4-H meeting, a Zoom meeting on plants and agriculture and different veins in that, and totally learn about it.
Yep.
And then be in your house and practice it. But that's amazing to hear, and very interesting to hear that you're hearing that from other.
Yeah, more urban based county fairs for sure.
So what I can do there is just help support the program and you know, encourage them and tell them that we're working on helping them build it up and do what I can in that respect
Yep, absolutely.
to support that rebuilding.
Talk about the future a little bit and how you're going to utilize the digital area of, you know, social media and even AI. What are some of the plans there?
So that one's a struggle for me. That's where I do have to ask for help, and I am actually meeting with somebody that we met at the convention. She runs a company, great name, called Fairly Decent Productions.
Mhm.
And she helps with your digital media and stuff because I'm not very good at that.
Right.
Given my age range, I've embraced Snapchat because my kids had it.
Yep.
You know, so I have found a few things that I follow, and Instagram, you know, and Snapchat is basically just the stuff that they send me. And every once in a while, I'll get a wild hair and go on it and try and send something to my friends. Instagram, I do a little bit more. We do have an Instagram page. We do a Facebook page. We learned that Instagram is a bit more relevant for getting your information out to that younger demographic.
Yep.
Facebook is more for the older demographic. So I am asking for help in that area.
So can I give you a little advice?
I would love it.
Whatever you use and whoever you hire, number one, don't ever give up control of your social media platforms. So meaning that you can go in and you can change whatever you want to change whenever you want to change it. So that's number one. Number two, know how to do exactly what they're doing. If they're making posts for you, know how to make posts. If they're making videos, know how to make videos. So just because you may not have the time to do it doesn't mean you shouldn't know how to do it. There are a lot of companies out there that charge crazy money to do what you can do yourself, or what you could actually do yourself and pay a minimum wage or double minimum wage to a high school student or a college student who enjoys doing it. And so those are my two pieces of advice. Don't give up control and
know do it.
Make sure that you have knowledge of what's going on. Yep.
That's great advice. And actually, I'm glad I can say my plan was more to learn how to utilize them better. We do have a board member who does a lot of that stuff, but could probably use some refreshing in the best way to do it now. And I have had a thought of trying to get a hold of the high school and find a high school student that is in some of those types of classes that would like to be a part of the board as our high school representative and get some more experience in doing things like that. So hearing you say that just reaffirms some of those thoughts on the direction to go with that.
Yep. Very good. All right. So let's do this. We'll talk again in a year or two and we'll see where things are at for you.
Sounds great.
That's good. Nancy, thank you so much for being on with us. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Hey, today we are with Eric Day. He's with the Newport Agricultural Fair in Virginia. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Oh, happy to be on today.
Eric, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up, and talk a little bit about your family?
Well, I grew up in Southern Ohio and I did the 4-H things. I went to the Hamilton County Fair. I have now become an entomologist and I have worked at Virginia Tech for 38 years. I have a small farm in Craig County, Virginia, near Newport, within the Newport area. And I cut and sell hay and we sell asparagus of all things.
Hey, love asparagus. Love asparagus. Is that your major crop?
No, I think the hay right now is the asparagus could become a major crop. But it's a small farm. It's kind of, I guess you could put it in the hobby farm, but I come from a long line of farmers, so I can't help it by putting plants in a row and driving tractors in circles.
Absolutely. Very good. All right, let's jump into the fair. Talk about the wins and the where.
So the Newport Agricultural Fair is Virginia's oldest continuously produced agricultural fair. It is in the village of Newport, which is in Giles County, Virginia, which is in the southwestern part of the state. And it is a small community fair put on by the community, highly attended by the community. All are welcome. And we have lots of things like livestock, we have horse show, we have vegetable categories, we have flowers, we have kids pet shows, we have a beauty pageant, hog calling contest. So all kinds of great things. It's just a really good, fun fair. We have vendors coming in and selling all different kinds of food. I think for a lot of us, it's the time we can kind of catch up with our neighbors and visit with them at this event.
Okay. When you look back at the fair, what do you feel like is the strength of your fair?
I think the big strength is the community aspect. It is a glue that holds the community together. And not only that, it kind of holds it together in that it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's a time when everybody can get together and visit, but it's also a chance for people in the community to kind of give back and contribute to the fair and work on it. And we've got a lot of hardworking members of the fair board, a lot of longtime people who've done lots and lots of work over the years on the fair.
Now, is there a 4-H basis behind this?
Yeah, there is a 4-H component. There is a livestock show, and that is held on the Friday evening of the fair, and that is well attended. We usually get that usually goes on a couple hours at least. 10, 20 kids there, lots of different categories. Mostly recently, the livestock show has been cattle and sheep. So the horse show is something separate, not necessarily 4-H, but there's a horse show on the Saturday morning of the fair.
What do you see as how long has this fair been going on?
This will be our 90th year.
Okay.
So
long generation. As you
Yeah.
look at some of the challenges that you've seen just in your tenure there, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing now?
Oh, I think it's kind of keeping up with the things we're supposed to do. But I think it's always searching for volunteers is always a bit of an issue. But again, I mentioned that it's very enthusiastic community support of it. It's so kind of parceling out the work. I'm relatively new to the fair board. I've been on the fair board about 7 years. I've been president for now my second year here, but get a lot of long-term members. So it's always kind of have to kind of keep up, remind people to kind of come and help out and do that sort of thing. But it really, that's kind of minor. It really all comes together. It's just everybody comes together and pulls the fair together, and that's it happens, and it happens very well.
Talk about your economics. You mentioned that this is really a community event. Where do you your sources of funding, does that come from sponsorships? Does that come from donations? What does that look like for you guys?
The vast majority of our funds are derived from gate ticket sales and through vendors. So the vendors pay an entry fee as well as they give a percentage of their take. and that is the two major ones. We do get a few donations here and there, but the major driver again is going to be the gate admissions and the vendors.
Okay, great. As you look in the future, what are some projects you guys have coming up?
Well, we'd probably like to get a tax exempt status at some point down the road, would be a good one for us to have. We would maybe see if we can, reach out and partner with some more of the local community groups, do some more things that way. We are partnering with the Newport Recreation Center, which is a separate organization. We have the fair at what used to be the Newport High School. And now the Newport High School, several decades ago, many decades ago, became the Newport Recreation Center. And so we partner with them. And so we will continue to do that down the road. But it's always it's going to be a good maintenance level every year to kind of keep looking for volunteers. You see someone, we always ask at the fair, and if someone inquires, we pull them in. I did pull in 3 new volunteers this year alone. So things are looking good. Just got to keep up with all those kinds of maintenance sort of things. Different vendors come in and have new requirements or ideas. Old vendors, might need some help on some things too. So again, it's sort of a maintenance kind of level too, just kind of keeping up with it and keeping on top of things. And we'll have our first board meeting in January, and we'll start planning the meeting, which will happen in August.
Okay. Let's get personal for a little bit. What was your main reason for getting involved with Fair Board and then now taking over the presidency?
Well, lots of things. Of course, being in 4-H and doing Hamilton County Fair in the 70s when I was a kid, was good. I like to be involved with the community. I was a volunteer firefighter for 10 years, so I like to do community things. My wife started out on the fair board with before I did, and she kept encouraging me to come along, and I showed up, and I just felt kind of an instant kinship with the fair board. Again, I kind of in awe about all their hard work they do, but I just like that personality that does community outreach and that sort of thing, and so it sort of fits for me, my personality, to be doing something for the community and helping out.
Oh, very good. Very good. All right. 2 major questions. People are going to ask me this. I'm going to get emails about this. What kind of bike you got in the background there?
Oh, well, that is a Specialized. And it is I guess you might put a hybrid bike on there too. That is my noontime exercise here. I work at Virginia Tech, so that's the other background. You might see some insect drawers in the background. I'm an entomologist at Virginia Tech.
Yep.
And so that then Virginia Tech is about 5 miles away from Newport, so we're very close, and so that's been a big plus for me to be able to work at Virginia Tech and live in the Newport community. But Blacksburg's got some rail trails nearby, and so I get to ride.
Yeah, not a standard bike. I recognize that right away. And then the next question people are going to ask: what's under the microscope right now? What's on the petri dish?
Actually, it's empty. We were just looking at I was looking at some fire ants in there.
There you go.
So that would be one of the things we do is we look. I run a diagnostic lab. We look at insect samples from all over the state, and including fire ants, which unfortunately occur in parts of Virginia, but fortunately none in the Blacksburg or Southwest Virginia area.
Now, are you able to utilize entomology at the actual fair? Do you have a division that utilizes that?
Occasionally, we do get like the master gardeners will be there.
Yep.
And giving out information on pests. We have partnered with the Virginia Tech College of Agriculture in the past, and gotten sponsorship from them. And of course, 4-H is Virginia Cooperative Extension. So 4-H is around our Cooperative Extension office, and so we were partnering with them too in that manner as far as doing these 4-H projects.
It's funny that you bring that up because I have a neighbor who's a master gardener, and he's always telling me about bugs. He's looking at whatever he doesn't want, he throws over on my side of the fence. So it's funny, but I appreciate that. I guess, Eric, anything else you want to add about your fair? What in your mind, what makes it the most special fair?
Well, it's the personal thing. I mean, it's just that it's the community is proud to put on the fair. They put on a great fair, and I'm just really honored to be part of the fair board.
Very good. Very good. Eric, thanks for being on with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for getting the word out, and hopefully you can send me a link to your podcast or whatever so I can hear it. I like to listen to what other things you've done too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, thanks everybody. We are with Lori Giannini. She's with the Calaveras County Fair. Lori, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Good. Lori, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your career.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of grew up a little bit of everywhere. I graduated from high school in Sparks, Nevada. My family moved to Calaveras County my senior year of high school. I married, my husband was, let me see, third generation cattle rancher in the same area. And our ranch was bought in 1903 by his grandfather.
Mm.
So we have a long history in Calaveras County.
Can I ask a cattle related question unrelated to this? Cow-calf pair, how many acres per cow-calf pair?
Oh, out here, it depends if you're on irrigated ground, but if you're not on irrigated ground, about 1 to 20.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious to find out, gives us an idea of your region. All right, let's jump into the fair. How long have you been the CEO of the fair?
I've been the CEO since November. Well, it's actually November 2011. So 13 years, but I've been associated with the fairgrounds since 1991.
Very cool. Very cool. As you look back at the fair, because you grew up there, talk about some of your favorite memories of your fair.
Of the fair?
Yeah.
Well, I would have to say my favorite memory of the fair was my husband and I's first date was at a fair dance. So probably that would be my favorite.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's jump into your fair, because a lot of county fairs across the U.S., they're different in nature. If you described your county fair, is it more agricultural and livestock orientated, or does it mix into the county and involve other events as well?
So our county fair, county fairs in California are part of the Department of Food and Agriculture. So we are mandated to promote agriculture. So we do have a huge agriculture influence at our fair. But that being said, we have a very inviting culture. So if, we do talent shows and all kinds of crazy things just to engage more people. We have a huge professional art show. Of course, we are in an ag region, which includes wine. So we have a large wine show. We have many concerts, all different kinds of music, children's entertainment. So we have a heavy agricultural influence, but that being said, you have to have something to get people through the gate to teach them about agriculture. And so you have to have other activities.
Yeah, so you use it as a community outreach and an educational opportunity as well as it goes through that. What do you feel like are some of your strengths as a county fair?
Well, I think as a facility, we're 71 acres and we're in the rolling foothills of the Sierras. So we're beautiful for one thing. That's part of our strength.
Yeah.
We have a huge community volunteer base, which is another part of our strengths. And, we're a year-round facility. So not only are we a county fair, but we are also the catastrophic event center for our county. So when we've had large forest fires or floods or any of that,
Rise
we are
above
the
positivity,
facility
that's the key.
that our community comes to.
Live a
And
life that's
because
wild and free.
they love the
Don't you
fair,
know
it's also
we can be
a safe place. They
anything
feel
we
safe
wanna
when they
be?
come here because they
Sure.
know what to expect.
No, absolutely. And that brings up another question I had for you. Do you guys rent out your fairgrounds? Is it utilized for other events through the year?
Oh, yeah. We, in 2024, I believe we had 2, dark weekends in August, and we have 2 in December. Besides that, we have things going on constantly.
Wow.
And we're a community resource, so we have a lot of quinceañeras, we have weddings, we have memorial services, we have small festivals, we have large festivals, so all the things.
That's perfect. Talk about the impact of the fair specifically on the economy. I'm assuming that it's a multi-day event, hotels, restaurants, your community, and it benefits from that. Talk about what that economic
So
impact.
it's not just our fair weekend. You mentioned we are the Calaveras County Fair and Jumping Frog Jubilee.
Hmm.
So the Jumping Frog Jubilee is famous in its own right. It's patterned after a story that Mark Twain wrote, his first public work, which was the celebrated Jumping Frog Calaveras County. So the frog itself is, the frog itself is an economic icon.
Yeah.
Right. So it year round. As far as the facility, our last numbers were 5.2 million in spending activity that trickles out from our facility. So it has a huge impact. It has a huge impact on our community.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like you're busy. Is this a full-time endeavor for you and
Yes.
your staff?
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So we have a year-round staff.
Yeah, and that seems that's different than a lot of fairs that we talk to across the board. But it sounds like you fostered that community, and it's centered. Your community is really centered around the fairgrounds and the ability to use it. That's phenomenally rare and highly recommend. What if you had to pinpoint a weakness of your county fair that you guys would focus on to improvement? What would that be?
It would be funding. So we're kind of unique. There's 54 district agricultural associations, which are fairgrounds in the state of California. And and then there's like 21 nonprofit or county-owned fairs. So the 54, the district agricultural associations are state agencies. So we're part of the Department of Food and Agriculture. That being said, we're non-funded state agencies.
Wow.
So the facility is owned by the state of California, but any improvements to the facility or our operating cost, all of that, that actually has to be generated by our facility. And we do that through the fair. We do that through some grants, and we do that through our rental program. That being said, the fairgrounds themselves all over the state are old, because like not at this particular facility, but our fair started in 1893 as a district agricultural association. So our buildings, our infrastructure, they're all older. So funding is a weakness for us, but I like to think of it also as an opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you what, thank you for your time. I appreciate you being on with us today. If people are traveling through, making summer plans, want to check out all the events that are going on at your fairgrounds, where would they go to see that?
Frogtown.org.
Frogtown.org.
Yep.
So Markle, very cool, very cool.
And
I love
it's a
what you're doing
beautiful
there.
area. So there's lots to see and do in our area.
It for sure is. It for sure.
Okay.
Is. Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for being on. I appreciate
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Hey, we are with Corey Pierce. He's with Hot Rods and Harley Summer Kickoff Montana today. Corey, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Corey, give us a little background on you. Let's start with you first. Where'd you grow up, and talk a little bit about your family and your career?
Well, I lived in Great Falls. I live in Great Falls now. I was born in City, Montana. Lived there until 1999. Then I moved to Great Falls. My parents still live there. My dad, my mom's still there. My dad has passed away since, but my brother is still over there also. And yeah, just kind of started an event. And since it's my hometown, we decided to kind of do everything there. And the whole idea started off after my dad passed. So that's kind of a little tribute to him.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So tell us what it is about. Hot Rods and Harleys. Give us, is it a Saturday deal? Is it all weekend? Is it week long? How's that working?
So it's a Friday and Saturday deal. Friday night we do a poker run and stuff for anyone wants to take part in it. And then Saturdays our car show and a vendor show going on. And then that evening we've got a concert going on.
Okay. All right. What started this? So like, what was your vision here?
So the original thing that all started is when our dad passed away during COVID, and he was a mechanic at the Chevy dealership there for 30 some years, and was never really a funeral guy anyways. So we ended up, have postponing it, this celebration of life for him, and did a little mini car show with all of his buddies. Everything was a big success, and everyone's like, you guys should really look at doing a bigger event. So we thought about it, and I was like, well, if we're going to do this, let's go all out. So I decided to rent the entire fairgrounds out, and I got some friends in the production world for sound and stage and lighting, and called them up and said, hey, I need a favor, and I want to haul all this stuff to Sydney, and it's it's 5 hours from Great Falls where everything is. So we hauled everything down there, and we threw off the first year, and had 106 cars the first year, and had a really good turnout for the concert, which we mostly did more local Montana musicians. And then the next year I said, well, let's up it a little more and do some bigger production.
To live a life that's wild and free. Don't you know we can be anything we want to be?
Yeah, it's grown from there. And so then last year we had 212 cars, I believe is what the final count was for the show. We were the 10th largest show in Montana. And then we had roughly 600 people show up for the concert that evening. And it turned out to be a good night. So
Awesome.
And the vendor show we got going on, we had 40 some vendors. Then we added that also, and then we had 9 food trucks there. So in poker run we had 100 some hands for the poker run. So it was a good turnout.
When you look at growth between first year, second year, etc., there seems to be a pattern of festivals and events that can make it work and make it don't work, and some try to grow too fast. Where's that balance for you of trying to not grow so fast that you overgrow your budget and your income and your sponsorships to cover everything? How do you work that?
That's very, very difficult. Because when it comes down to it, I've got some amazing sponsors, and we've grown new sponsors every year. We've kept pretty much every sponsor we've had from day one. So that part's been very, very nice. The hard part is that usually when it comes to doing car show wise stuff like that, you kind of break even. The entry fee stuff like that, it comes to renting out the grounds, everything like that. You don't really do a little bit of advertising with it. You don't really make any money there. Kind of the same thing with the concert. Also, it's very difficult because the promotion side of it with the bands, there's not a lot of money to be made in there. Most of those bands are take that money. You don't make a lot of money off them. So you look on your alcohol sales and different stuff like that, Yeah. So it's definitely a tough thing. I never expected it to be as stressful as what it was, but I really enjoy it.
No, absolutely. From the artist side, there's a lot of things that venues can do to protect themselves with like a radius clause. And you learn those things as you go. If a 90-mile radius clause is pretty standard, 60 to 90, and it really it's kind of cool because you can protect yourself with some things. You can't protect yourself with weather unless you have access to an indoor facility as a background. And then of course there's always insurance and things like that. But with the festivals and the events that we've seen that have failed, the failure rate is either they just grew too fast. They tried to get that big artist for the next year, or they didn't have protective measures in place. And so sounds like the way that you started, you didn't just jump into this and go big. You started and you're working your way and maintaining. I hear one common thing I hear from you: you're maintaining your relationships. And that tells me, Corey, that it's not just all about you and your family. It is about your community. So let's talk about your community and how this benefits them as well.
Well, so Sydney is a very small community. I mean, we're looking at like a population of like 6,000 people, 7,000 people. Very small. Now, there's surrounding areas within a 50-mile radius. You got North Dakota, Williston area, which is like 45 miles. You got Glendive, which is another 45 miles in the opposite direction. North Dakota, you're hitting the Bakken area where the oil boom is kind of going on. So you do have some areas you can draw from. But it's also more difficult because your advertising is definitely has to be spread out. We went from like our first year, people are excited about it, to last year we were able to get a grant from the city, even the chamber, to help. Hold on here.
Yeah, you're fine.
To help out with some expenses for like hotels and stuff like that, because we had high rates of hotels being rented and stuff. So the chamber actually kind of gave us a kickback. So for the community, it's big because it's a very small community. And when all of a sudden you see, last year we had 200 and some cars show up, it's the biggest car show that's been in that town for, 20 years.
Sure.
And so it makes a huge impact. But if you give me 1 second, let me grab this.
Yeah, you're fine.
Real quick here.
You bet. Cool. So you also running a pawn shop.
Yeah. So that's my day job. I pawn shop with my best friend owns it and stuff. I've been here since '99, so it's been here for a long time.
But again, people in relationships. Yeah.
It's all about relationships. The whole thing with festival, and when you come from a small community, if you don't have relationships with your sponsors, and it's not all about them, and how you can help drive business to them in different aspects, you'll never succeed. They need growth, being a small community, and they just have to have it. And if you can't help supply that, you won't succeed. They won't get behind you.
Very good. Very good. Let's talk about the future and some of the plans maybe you have in the back of your mind. And then I want to know, how much do you listen to feedback that you get? Because you're talking to vendors, you're talking to car owners and Harley owners, and then you're also talking to concert goers. What's your source of that feedback, and what are you hearing?
Feedback wise is the most important thing you can do. You want to have that enjoyable experience for everybody. And so if it's from the concert goers to the car guys, everything's a different aspect of it. And so everybody has a different opinion on what you should do for that area. And it's super important. If they're not happy, they're not coming back. And it's like any type of business or any type of festival thing. If someone has a bad experience, they'll tell 20 people. If they have a great experience, they'll tell 2. So you definitely want to make it super enjoyable. And this event's not about me. It's not about my family. It's about the community. So if they have to have input, what they want to see. So the first couple of years, we didn't do a poker run. We had the poker run last year because all the car guys were coming into town and they said, hey, we want more to do. And so we added the poker run for them, and it turned out to be a huge hit. So we'll do it again this year.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of things on your plate today, but most importantly, if the listener wants to check this event out and make it part of their travel plans for summer vacation, how do they find out more information about it?
So right now, everything's on Facebook at Hot Rods and Harleys. Summer Kickoff is the page. You can go there and get all the information. We'll start releasing major stuff. We've already got our headliner and stuff booked, and we've got one of our opening acts booked for already. We'll release all that come the first of the year, who it is and stuff. It is an artist coming out of Nashville and stuff. So we're really, really excited about it. Up and coming big artist. But that will kind of be all the information is mostly on Facebook right now.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much for being on with us, Corey. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, today we are with Casey Anderson. She is with the 4th Avenue Merchants Association. Casey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jake. We look forward to being back on your show.
Yeah, so let's jump into this year. Let's just jump right into, what does the 4th Avenue Merchants Association do?
So the Fourth Avenue Merchants Association has been around for 40 plus years, and we are basically the keepers of the Fourth Avenue district. We take care of it 365 days a year. We activate the different spaces available in the district that's primarily made up of local small mom and pop shops. We promote a lot of local small business entrepreneurship, and we activate the space and we bring one of the largest events in the United States to the area, and it's called the Fourth Avenue Street Fair.
Okay. Now, I'm intrigued because now we're really focused on these businesses as you go through there. What is, because it's what it's formed around, the merchants themselves, much like a chamber of commerce would be, but on a more localized scale. What is the advantage of hosting an event like you do? What is the advantage to your merchants, and what is the advantage to your association in doing that?
You know, there's a huge advantage. It really brings people out to our community and our district down here. It encourages people to shop at our local small businesses. It encourages people to dine out, enjoy the bars and the restaurants, and enjoy the event. People travel from all over the world. It's a top 100 event in the nation. And so it brings people from all over, and it really shows a good display of what our community has to offer. It's a great demonstration of Tucson, Arizona, the great people, the culture, the food, and everything else that our community has to offer.
What's your strength as you as a person, Casey, in this role with the association? What do you feel like is a personal strength for you?
You know, I think a personal strength is embracing entrepreneurship, encouraging people to, you know, follow their dreams and build it, and they will come.
You stole that line from Kevin Costner. That's great. No, look, so you have these strengths. What's the challenge that the association tends to run into every year? What are your challenges?
You know, when you bring 300,000 people and shove them into a very small space, it really brings quite a few challenges. We're no new hat at this. We've been doing this for quite some time. This is our 55th biannual fair, so 55 years. We've kind of learned how to navigate those challenges. Obviously, trying to get people parked and into the area, and traffic control and permitting. You know, things are always changing. I think in the past year, like every other American, we've all faced the inflation. Events are not immune to inflation. And so really trying to overcome some of those things that we all are dealing with on a daily basis.
When you talk about the challenges you face, I'm sure that the city itself knows the benefits of having this event. Has that changed over the years? Are they still as accommodating? They still encouraging the visitorship and their willingness to help in making things as easy as for you as possible?
Yeah, you know, I think the community in the city really understands the impact of injecting $110 million into our local community every time we, you know, put on our two fairs each year. That just, you know, that's far reaching. That really impacts everybody, not only in our community here in Tucson, but in Southern Arizona. And it has far reaching effects for people going back to Australia or Mexico and talking about what a great experience, and bringing new people, you know, for the next fair. And so we're really trying to hone in on that impact. This event, we're really going to try to collect that data to really back up our financial and community impact that our events do have, not only in our district, but in Southern Arizona as a whole.
Have you ever led a leadership conference or put yourself into a role where other communities that maybe aren't quite as big as your community in your association and your events, they can learn from you? Have you ever been put into that platform?
Yeah, you know, I've spent some time in that platform as just a business consultant with my consulting company. You know, really trying to guide and lead different organizations in how to position themselves to be able to give back to their community or accomplish some goal. I think that we definitely can use the opportunity with what we've done with the Fourth Avenue Street Fairs and use that as a boilerplate for other communities that want to do similar like events.
If you let's just talk personally here for a minute. Your business consulting company. If people want to reach out to you and they want to learn more about that, model some of the things that you've structured for them, how do they do that? How do they contact you for that?
Well, they can always go to my website, CaseyAndersonConsulting.com. I'm all over Google. So as you know, a lot of people know how to use Google, so they can find me on there, or they can reach me here at the 4th Avenue Merchants Association. I spend a lot of time here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting to see what you guys are doing there. And, I kind of wanted to focus more on the business side of things this go around. And you've done a great job explaining that. Anything else that you want to share with the listeners today?
No, it's a great event. We encourage everybody to come down to Tucson, Arizona. We're hoping for like upper 70-degree weather. It's always a great time. Be one of those 300,000 people. Come say hi to us and experience something that's really quite incredible.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Casey, thanks for being on with us.
Thanks, Jake. Always nice to see ya.
You bet. Hey guys, today we got Jason Christensen. He's with K&M Ranch in Idaho. Jason, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
Jason, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family, and then we'll jump into the rodeo world.
I grew up in northern Utah. I'm a product of the foster care system, so I was in foster care.
Wow.
But that's been a blessing. I mean, I use that experience to help a lot of kids and a lot of youth these days. And thank God for my foster parents. So I got some good ones, which is not always the case. But we've got a farm and ranch store here in Paris, Idaho. Just a little mom and pop store. We service the corner. We're right in the corner of Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming. So I service quite a large area of small farm community, rancher community towns.
Very good. Very good. Let's jump into your, I think we found you on a rodeo list. So let's talk about what you guys do with the ranch and some of your main events through the year. And then we'll talk about your community impact as well.
Awesome. So I put on the Bear Lake Junior Rodeo once a year, and that's a Junior World Finals qualifier. It's a pretty big rodeo. We had 346 contestants, paid out over 10 grand in prize money for youth rodeo. And then we do an open rodeo and a ranch rodeo every year, and some rope and runs, a monthly rope and run. Just trying to keep the community active in the sport of rodeo.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the when and the where. When does this happen?
The Bear Lake Junior Rodeo is July 5th in 2025. Paris City, which we're in, has a really fun 4th of July celebration here. And so they'll do their chuck wagon breakfast and their parade and their patriotic program and everything on the 4th. And then we do on the 5th, I do the Junior Rodeo. We have about 40 Western lifestyle vendors there, and we have a concert following the rodeo.
What ages does this rodeo allow for contestants?
It's 5 to 18.
5 to 18. That's quite the range.
Yeah, it's a lot. 346 contestants last year.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
A lot of events. What made you start this? What made you get into this?
Well, I'm a vet, first of all, and we've kind of lost control of our United States here. And what we haven't lost control of, Jake, is our community. And so I'm big on keeping the money in the community. I'm big on supporting the community. We really push shop local. We really try to support everybody else's businesses in the community as well, and just keep our community strong, because that's one thing we still have control of.
I love that. Now, we talked off air about the number of kids that you help out through the year via scholarships and things like that. Where does that money come from?
From the store. The Farm and Ranch store sponsors 43 kids in junior high school, and college rodeo in 3 states. And we sponsored 96 4-H kids in 5 counties this year. And 100% of my advertising dollars, 100% goes into these kids. Man, for the store.
That's fantastic. Does that stem from your childhood and just?
I'm sure it does.
Wanting to give back a little bit into that.
I'm sure it does, because we have, my wife Candace and I have a lot of what we call our foster kids. They're not really foster kids, but we mentor an awful lot of youth that maybe didn't have the strongest family connections or parents at home. And some that do, that just don't have the experiences that I have that can bring a different viewpoint, you know. And so I'm just real big on helping kids and trying to keep them on a good path.
Sure. We talked a lot about the rodeo and just the level of participation that you have, but talk about the volunteers that are required to bring this something up. Where do those people come from, and what roles do they play?
Oh man, so our community is so amazing. We decided this year that we better rebuild the fairgrounds, and so I took on a giant project of rebuilding the whole arena, turning it into full professional size arena. And I went to PTI Stockyard, who is a manufacturer of continuous fans and panels and stuff that I sell at our store, and asked them if they'd like to be involved with this project. And they really stepped up to the plate, donated about half of the materials. And then we got a real good group of volunteers to get together. A lot of work. I mean, that's a lot of work putting a new arena together, and welders and helpers and kids and families and moms bringing lunches down. And it was just a really neat experience getting that arena built for this community. And now it's used during the summer, it's used almost daily by 4-H groups and always by kids having somewhere now to go practice their rodeo skills, which we didn't have before on this side of the valley.
Yeah. What type of embracement have you seen from the community when it comes to sponsorships and things like that? I know that in the rodeo world, especially, sponsorships is really where it's at as it goes through there. As you look to the future, well, let's address that question first. How's the embracement been from the community when it comes to sponsorships?
Well, the community really supports us. They'll drive past chain stores, Tractor Supplies, and IFAs and Baumgars. They'll drive past them for 100 miles to come to our store because of what we do for the community. And that's pretty neat to see that kind of loyalty to us when we're putting back to the community. It's really a two-way street here, and that's neat because that doesn't always happen these days.
You obviously had a vision when you started this, and visions don't die off. They just grow and expand. As we look to the future of your rodeo, and helping these kiddos, what are some projects? What are some ideas and some visions you have?
Well, right now I'm working on grants for lighting. One thing I'm super proud of, there's not a single tax dollar in that arena. And so we are not taxing on the non-arena using citizens when we build this arena. And so I'm going for solar lighting, ranch hand solar lighting, because I want to, the same reason when the lights are on at the arena, it's not taxing on the non-arena using citizens. I think that's really important. So I'm trying to find some grant money for that. I need to build some more bleachers, and we're working on more parking installs. So, I mean, it never ends, really.
Right. Yeah. But you've got that vision, and that's important, because if you can see it and you can write it down, it's going to happen as it goes through there. If there's people out there listening and they like your project and they like what you're doing, what's a good way they could get in touch with you, donate time, money, whatever you got?
Give me a call, 435-881-6917, and we'll figure out the best means or way that you can help out. But we sure appreciate any help that we can get.
That's awesome. Jason, thank you for extending your generosity and your heart into the rodeo community, to the youth of the rodeo committee. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that, and love to see what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being on, Jason. I appreciate it.
Sometime.
You bet.
Rise above positivity, that's the key. To live a life that's wild and free. Don't you know we can be